I do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
Put my hat up.
I'm from South Carolina, so I just look at Doni.
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Morris?
Oh, my heart.
Happy 20th anniversary.
My heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Doni.
Shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, and dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh.
The doctor lived next door to the janitor to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Doni, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it all the more.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. Vinny, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Ooh, what happened to you, Vinny? All right, there we go. So tell us about yourself, Vinny.
Hi, I am Vinny Mwano. I'm based here in Baltimore. I'm a filmmaker, brand strategist, business development. I use the art of video to empower and give businesses a voice to control their own narrative. Too many times we rely on other people to tell our story when it comes to business, when it comes to product development. And over the last 10 years, I've been helping from 500 Fortune companies like Apple to Facebook to startups like coffee shops, the ministry in DC. And just part of it is just to control their narrative. One thing I'm really great at is being able to contextualize an idea and think about what the audience really is going to get out of an idea that you want to promote or have people see. And then I kind of work backwards and I say, all right, this is what we're trying to aim at. Now let's put it in the video context and let's create a video journey. That way, who's ever watching your stuff stays watching your stuff. Social media is free unless you pay for the premium cost of having that analytical things in the background. But we realize that social media actually isn't for our business. Like if you think about it, the only way that we can control what people do see and how they engage with our customers, how they engage with our products is on our websites. It's on our own pages. So what I've been educating people in the last 3 years is that you have to get people away from the social media platform and onto your own platform. That way you can control, obviously, what you want them to see, and they're not distracted by other competitors. So I guess I'll just end with that. Vinny Mwano, again, filmmaker, photographer, video strategist, and I help companies enhance sales using the power of video.
What companies have you helped besides that?
So, yeah, besides Apple, Facebook, there's a company down in DC called The Ministry, and there is the Dance Exchange. There's a lot of I've worked with a lot of nonprofits as well. So there's a company in Chicago called Ingenuity. There's the Junior League of Boston, and
Vinny,
it's a lot. There's a lot. We can go to my website. You can go to my website. You can see all the companies that I've worked with in the last 10 years.
Well, Vinny, sounds like you're pretty good at interviewing yourself.
Well, I mean, as a video strategist and a product development, I have to understand how to communicate my brand. And this is what I essentially do with companies. Like I help them control their own narrative. This week I was filming at American Community Management. They're an amazing organization that helps large, from condos to apartment buildings to what's it called? Just homes. They help the communities enjoy where they live. And so they brought me on.
Slow down, Vinny. You're saying a lot of stuff and you're just running by. I don't know that it's sticking to the wall. You said, say what you just said again.
Yeah, so I was brought
No. You say you work with a company that does what?
Oh, yeah, cool. So I was hired as a consultant for a company called American Community Management. They're based here in Baltimore. Well, they're just outside of Baltimore, so not too far. And what they do is they help communities from condos, apartment buildings, and just homeowners enjoy and love where they live. And so they manage large communities.
How can you help them enjoy where they live?
Well, me as a video strategist.
Yeah.
So me as a video strategist, this company, the ACM, American Community Management, what they do really well, like they are the pioneers of community management. And so I said, hey, you guys have been around for 20 years. So what have you implemented?
Tell me, Vinny. Tell me. Because you're throwing around some terms that don't quite who is the pioneer of community management?
American Community Management. That's the name of that's the name of the company.
They're the pioneers in what regard?
So they implement. So if you
they're 20 years old, how are they the pioneers?
They're the pioneers.
I'm a little lost. We've been on this planet for what? A billion years?
A billion years, yeah. So the reason why they're the pioneers is because they have implemented new ways for communities to better get a hold of their community management.
What the hell is that, Vinny?
I mean, again, so if I would describe it, I'm going to simplify it as this.
I mean, you're not talking about East Baltimore, are you? You're not talking about West Baltimore, are you?
No, they're not based in Baltimore. This company.
So would they be able to manage East Baltimore, West Baltimore? Because you're tossing around terms.
They definitely will be able to manage. They definitely manage. If you have a huge apartment complex.
Have you been watching the news?
Not recently. Why? What's up?
Do you know what's been happening in East and West Baltimore?
In the sense of gentrification, or are we talking about something else?
Violence.
Oh, I mean, there's always going to be violence.
No. It doesn't have to be to the level that it is in Baltimore. I mean,
no, definitely not.
Stabbing and shooting. Little 10-year-old girl got stabbed to death 10 times. I mean, Vinny, this is some unprecedented stuff that's happening. And so whoever these pioneers are, we need to get their asses down to City Hall so that they can do some real pioneering, because we have a 911 situation, Vinny. Baltimore is violent, and they're killing little girls.
Yeah, which is really sad. It breaks my heart. I have a little one, and I worry for him.
Vinny, it's economics.
Yeah.
The investment in Baltimore for the past 20 years has not gone into East Baltimore or West Baltimore. The investment has gone downtown to the harbor. And so as you're talking about these pioneers in this majority Black city, I'm not buying your storyline, Vinny. It's not adding up.
Well, I'm just giving you an example of how I work with companies. And this company is they're owned by.
This company was a pioneer.
Well, yes.
If you've only been around 20 years, that's a baby.
Well, yeah, you're definitely right apart when you say it's a baby. But I want to say that sometimes there are companies that have been around for 50, 100 years, and they're going out of business because they were not able to actually meet the customer's demands, in a way of how there's now keypads where you can unlock your phone, because unlock your door with a touch of an app. So there's more security that has been implemented within buildings. And so how do condos implement that within their community? And so this company, ACM, does a really good job of creating a better relationship with their community. And one example, and then I want to change the topic.
Are you talking about the white community or the black community?
This is all communities.
Baltimore is
This-
pretty segregated.
Yeah, correct.
And I didn't make the rules, Vinny, but Baltimore is pretty much, you're either black or you're white. That's Baltimore. I mean, I don't know what the pioneers think about this, but did you know that Baltimore is actually the home of segregation, Vinny? In America.
I did not know that.
This very city that you're alluding to is actually the birthplace of American segregation. So I'm a little leery on these theories that seem a little one-sided, Vinny.
Well, just letting you know, so that my client that I work with, they service all types of homes, all types of communities, and it's the CEO is a black woman, and so again, they hired me, and I'll just give you an example of how I work with clients.
No, do they help the black community?
Yes, they do.
They do.
They do. Yeah.
Where?
I mean, if you look at where they service, I don't know. I do not know specifically in terms of where the communities that they have, because that's something that, again, I'm just a consultant videographer. But I know for a fact.
Tell you where they haven't helped. They haven't helped East Baltimore and West Baltimore.
I can't say that. So that cannot be a definite fact.
Say that. I've been living here 55 out of 57 years. I can tell you that. See, no investment.
All right, then. Yeah.
No investment has gone in these communities, and that's the problem. It's been going over there, but not over there, and over there is a little angry right now.
I want to know more about you. So let's change up the topic a little bit.
No, you ain't the host, man. It's my show.
No, I understand your show. So I guess my question is, right, I just told you a little bit of how I work with companies. And I cannot say what this company is doing in the community because I'm just a consultant. I know that they do a lot of.
If I'm going to hire you as my consultant, you can't tell me.
What do you mean? I think right now you're trying to pin me someplace where I'm just like.
No, I'm trying to get you. You pinned yourself, Vinny. You did that all by yourself, bud.
The question was.
Let me do my job, Vinny. Vinny, where are you from? Let's clarify that.
Yeah, so I was born in Democratic Republic of the Congo. I came to the States as a refugee in 2000, and where I was placed was in New Hampshire. So I grew up in New Hampshire, Boston area, and I moved down to the area, to the DMV area, in 2018, and so I moved to Baltimore in August. So
didn't you see the warnings, Vinny? I mean, didn't anybody like, don't do it, don't stop, pump your brakes? I heard the phrase the other day, hold your horses.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it, and I still hear it now. It's why did you move to Baltimore?
Why did you
from DC? Well, honestly, there's two reasons.
Affordability.
Well, of course. I mean, my family grew, and at the time, none of my clients were based out of DC or Virginia, and so I had clients.
You weren't successful. How about have you gotten any clients in DC yet?
No, I mean, I what I was saying was my clients that I had in DC was I no longer needed to go into the office to meet with them because everything went virtual. And so based upon that, I could work anywhere, essentially. And so the living cost of living around the DMV area was just skyrocketed. And so based on what my partner and I looked at. We said, hey, it's better for us to move outside. And we were looking at other places. We weren't looking at Baltimore per se. We were looking West Coast. We were looking maybe down south in Virginia. But then a good friend of ours, Christy, she has an amazing yoga studio called Yoga Mouth Studio, which is based out of Dundalk. And their whole model is a wellness center that creates an environment where anyone can come and either take a yoga class, take a dance class. And so my profession as well, I'm also a hip hop instructor. So I teach intergenerational, a hip hop instructor, hip hop dance.
You are?
Hip hop dance. Yeah, hip hop dance, and also teach Afro beats.
There you go, speeding up again. Now, I want to go back to the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Yeah,
now,
let's talk.
A lot of people don't know, but that's right in the heart of Africa, right? That's like right in the middle of the continent.
Yeah, it's right there. I mean, when you look at the continent of Africa, just point right in the middle where the equator is. That's where I was born. That's where I was born, and lived there for 6 years. I was born in Kinshasa.
And we've seen many movies about Kinshasa.
Yes, per se.
I mean, not all bad movies. I mean, but right in the heart of Africa. I mean, there are a lot of natural resources that come out of there.
Yeah, this is also one thing that people need to know is that the DRC is the Wakanda of the world right now. The reason why I'm calling it Wakanda is because it has gold, coltan, diamonds, has oil, has all this natural resources.
What do they have that goes in the cell phone? Is that coltan?
That's the coltan. Yeah, that's the coltan. That's
so without the ingredients that come out of Tanzania, there could be a problem making cell phones, right?
Well, the DRC, Brazil, and there's another part in the continent of Africa that has coltan, where they mine in companies in Europe and companies in Asia that utilizes miners to mine this coltan. But the DRC has the largest supply of coltan, and without coltan, you and I won't be able to talk right now because the silicon package board, every electronics has a silicon package in it. And so in order for those nodes to communicate, I worked for a large.
I want you to stay focused.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm going somewhere. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I used to work for
like a wild horse, man. You're like, we're going this way, but Vinny's Vinny, come on back.
I mean, it's a sense in the connection of that I know what I'm talking about. So I worked for a large design company that would design the microchips that goes into phones to make it work. And so realizing that, hey, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, so I'm saying is that the DRC has the mass produced product of coltan. So in order to get those mines, they hire locals, and a lot of times kids. So the UN has done a lot of research and investigation on the mines where the coltans are being picked up, and they realized that a lot of kids also mine as well.
Did you say the UN?
Yeah, the United Nations.
So do you think the United Nations is aware of what King Leopold did in the Congo?
Oh, of course. I mean, everyone is aware.
You think the United Nations is aware of what America has done throughout Africa?
Of course.
Do you think the United Nations is aware of what the Dutch Boers did in South Africa and are still doing?
United Nations is aware of all this.
Telling me
this humanitarian crisis.
This guy is going to tell me right from wrong now,
Well, I mean, you start with the Security Council, right? You look at who has the power to actually bring leaders in front of the court system, the international court, and say, hey, you guys are doing something wrong. If the folks that are
But
committing.
you own the court. The UN owns the court. The United States owns the court. It's up the block. It's up the block in downtown Manhattan. Vinny,
I mean,
you're making the killer out to be. You're making the killer out to be the savior, and I'm just letting you know. We know.
I mean, no. I mean, you just fun fact. I have my
Vinny,
degree.
What happened in the Congo? What happened in the Congo, Vinny? Let's just cut straight to the chase. What did Leopold do in the Congo?
He committed genocide. He committed genocide. He cut my people's limbs off. Like,
so you got a whole tribe of people with no right forearm, or a whole nother tribe of people with no left forearm.
Yeah.
Or a whole tribe of people with no right leg, right? That's what the Belgians did, right?
That's what the Belgians did.
So we can't give people like that a pass because they go and change uniforms.
Oh, of course not. I mean, I think we are in an age where no one is giving them a pass. I think that this is why we see
they don't get to point fingers, oh, you guys, because they are the you guys. And not just in the Congo, across the continent of Africa. You talked about, hold tight.
Yeah, I'm here.
The ingredients that go into a cell phone. What you didn't say is that if we kick the Europeans out, we could control all of the resources ourselves.
That's the issue.
What you didn't say is that a lot of the war in Africa is instigated by external powers who only want to control the natural resources anyway. So I'm not buying that, Vinny. They don't get to point fingers after they've thrown bombs, cut off people's limbs. Do you remember when they had an explosion in Belgium about 5 years ago? Well, anyway,
which one? I mean, we could definitely talk about that. I mean, I'm not.
They had
remembering
an app.
That one.
They had an app on Facebook, and I'm watching Black people saying, "God bless Belgium." And I'm like, you don't know your history. Or, something happens in Paris, France, an explosion. And then here we go. Here go Black people. We want to save the world. Oh, help out Paris. Or most recently in America, help out Ukraine to the tune of $100 billion. But we have a crumbling infrastructure here in America. We have schools that are just abysmal. And then we're running around building stadiums with the money we're supposed to be buying books with. So what I am most touched by, Vinny, is the fact that you were able to leave. And I don't know if the word is escape, but for you to leave Africa and get somewhere that was a little safer than where you were, whether it's Africa or beyond. But East and West Baltimore, yeah, we are the result of that same type of colonialism, imperialism, which included slavery, and nobody's hands are clean, Black, white, or otherwise.
I mean, yes, I'm happy that that through my mother's prayer and her resilience that she was able to find an international organization that were able to hear our story and get us out. One thing that I've realized being in the States, I do consider myself Congolese and American.
Can you speak Congolese?
I speak Lingala. So the native tongue in the DRC is Lingala, French, and there's other surrounding countries language that implements that also gets.
How do you say hello in Lingala?
Ndinganiniyo. That's Lingala.
Ndinganiniyo.
Yeah, that's how are you?
Ndinganiniyo.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, how do you say how are you doing?
Well, you could also say you could say the same thing. Ndinganiniyo is how you doing? It's hi.
That's a long hello, man. You must run get shot by the time you get that out. Okay, how do you say thank you?
Well, because of the Belgian influence, the Belgian colonialism.
The Belgians
French.
raped and destroyed Congo. They don't get a pass. Don't give them a pretty picture. They are imperial.
I'm just saying, because of their colonialism, their years and years of taking away the culture, exploiting. Yeah. So they ended up creating French. They ended up mixing French with Lingala.
So like a Creole.
Like a Creole, yeah. So there's Belgian French. A lot of people aren't familiar with it, but there's Belgian French, there's Canadian French, and there's like French, the Paris French. And so there's, you just say Maxi. So there's a lot of French entwined with Lingala. And as we all know, at one point the international business language was French. And so if you couldn't speak French, you couldn't do business internationally until English took it over. And that's just part of what I grew up learning.
Do you ever wonder, Vinny, how these little small countries in Europe, I mean, England's not that big, it could fit into the corner in Africa, how this little bitty swath of land creates so many damn diabolically criminal people, and how they control the whole of Africa. Do you ever wonder that? I mean, do you ever wish you were like on the shores of Africa with like an AK or a missile launcher? It's like, whoosh, blow up anything that comes near the coast, protecting your homeland.
Well, when I look at the documents that I've read over the years, and I do have a lot of sadness. I used to have a lot of rage against people that caused the war, caused civil unrest.
So you were disliking black people and white people.
I mean, in a sense, it was more so
damn right, man, say it.
No,
black people and white, just like slavery. Slavery started with black people, and then it was white people. It's both people's fault.
I wouldn't really compare what I went through with slavery. I mean, that's just.
Damn right, it was. Somebody uprooted you. I was terrorized. It's traumatic.
I mean,
I
wouldn't say that
on the homeland.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, so what I'll say is that I'll go back to what you asked me. Do I ever wonder why, the small little countries in Europe have so much power, and how
over
much
Africa.
Over Africa? So I always wonder that. And you know what the answer for me, what I came up with was this: is that in order for people to keep their sovereignty, right? That in order for a country to be sovereign, you have to have a military to protect your citizens, and you have to be able to expand. And so Europe saw the vast resources
in America, and let's just note that as you're expanding, as you're imperializing, you're encroaching on someone else's land. So Christopher Columbus, hold tight. Christopher Columbus didn't do us any damn favor. As a matter of fact, if he were here today, we'd probably punch him in his mouth. But Christopher Columbus, he expanded for Spain and Portugal over into the Western Hemisphere that black people have been coming to all along, but now they want to own it and control it and rape the people and kill the people because they want to expand. So there's a limited amount of land. They're not making any more new land. And so
and also one thing that I would add is that
we have not learned, Vinny, how to live together. Because if you got your land and I got my land, there's no reason for you to be over here on my land. And if I catch you over here on my land, we're going to have a problem. Just like if you catch me on your land, you're like, oh, we got a problem.
And I think that because of this notion that it was the Queen sending Christopher Columbus for the purpose of Spain, purpose of expansion, purpose of new territory, purpose of power, as we all know, because everything that people empowered.
Do you know what was happening around the time Ferdinand and Isabella sent Christopher Columbus over here? Do you know what was happening in the world?
Tell me what was happening.
The Ottoman Turk Empire for 700, 800 years the Moors, they look like me and you. They were dominating the Iberian Peninsula. Blacks were royalty across Europe. Did you know that?
Yeah, well, I knew that. Just
Across
look at the Middle
Europe.
East. Yeah, just look at the Middle East. Yeah, just look at the Middle East. Look at how the trade routes were being done between between Asia and also the Middle East and Europe. How Egypt was essentially like the Manhattan of the world at one time, because of how trade was being done through Egypt and also out in the Asian countries and India and on and back to Europe. And so when I step back and I say, hey, like all of these things that are being done, all the things that has been done within history, empires falling, empires gaining control, empires raping and killing kids, and all this different horrible things that's been happening. A lot of it was given orders from the king or the queen. So, and we go back, and now let's fast forward to where we are now. What's happening in Africa with how the superpowers, I would say superpowers. And if you don't know who the superpowers are, I mean, I can just tell you, US, China, Russia.
Yeah, I would have started with China. I'd have said China, then US. Because they have 1.3 billion people. We got like 400 million. So all they got to do is send one wave of 1 million Chinese and we're done.
But you realize that power doesn't equate to how many people you have, how many citizens you have.
What does power equate to, Vinny?
GDP, military,
I would have started with military because that's why we are where we are. My weapons were stronger than yours.
In my opinion, I believe that the GDP and how much control you have within the world matters way more than the military. Because if we look at World War II, what happened maybe you don't know about this about me, but so I have my degree in political science in my minor in international affairs, and so
welcome to the club, Vinny.
Yeah, so we can talk politics all day. I mean, so what I'm saying is that in order to protect the GDP, the dollar is this essentially the business currency of the world, and we've seen how international parties, superpowers, have responded when other countries have challenged that. We've seen it. And so
why did Muammar Gaddafi get killed, Vinny?
There's been documentaries.
They came over one damn currency. One currency, what was it, the dinar? One currency for the entire of Africa. And America killed him under Barack Obama, under a black president. Go figure.
That's what certain documentaries do come up and say.
Certain documentaries.
So there's research.
What are you talking about?
So what I'm saying is that we have seen how leaders in Africa have challenged.
That Muammar Gaddafi was assassinated.
Oh yeah, I do know he was assassinated.
You know he was an African leader.
Of course.
So to kill the leader of a sovereign country is against the very international law that the United Nations touts, correct?
And we talked about this again. Who is in charge of security?
When is the last time a white sovereign leader was killed?
A white sovereign leader was killed.
Well, when's the last time an African leader was killed or a black or brown leader was killed?
I mean, we know this, yeah. No, there is a pattern. And what I'm saying, we can go back to ages of the Ottoman Empire or the Alexandria Great Empire. It's the thing that nations, countries who want to preserve their power, they're always going to cut down folks that I believe that challenge their authority. And so we are living in an age where trade and resources and money, those are things that, and also military, those are the things that allow a country to say, hey, I'm on top based upon your superpower status. Before it used to be, if you have a nuclear weapon, then you're automatically considered part of the superpower elite. But when North Korea,
superpower elite, Vinny, these people that you say are superpowers because They're savages, Vinny. They're not very civilized. We have
No,
all
no.
of the money in the world, and what I see these superpowers doing is destroying Mother Earth. This isn't winter. Vinny, let me tell you something.
This is
20,
I grew up in New
20
Hampshire.
years
This is
ago,
definitely not winter. Yeah.
20 years ago, 40 years ago, you'd be freezing your hind parts off right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're practically in shorts weather.
Yeah.
Because
the Earth is dying.
man, if left unchecked, will destroy Mother Earth. Now, are we going to be sitting back wondering who's the superpower, who's got the most juice, who has the most followers? Or are we going to take these people who are not being very responsible and eliminate them or remove them? They're a problem. Vinny, it doesn't take a lot of money. I've been to East Africa, for instance. It doesn't take a lot of money to feed people or to build farms or to build. But the problem comes in when you done did all of this building and some rat bastard pays one little faction, hey, go in there and disrupt the flow just for 2 weeks. It's painful when I see some of the things that we do to each other, whether it's in Kinshasa or whether it's up in Emerson Village.
Yeah.
We can do better, but we are losing our humanity, and we're so busy trying to stay caught up with the Joneses that we're not handling our business. And too often, we allow idiots who can't raise their own damn children tell us how to raise ours. That's America for you, Vinny.
I mean, I think you said it.
Lost. These people are they're no damn good.
And there's definitely parts. What you said, I definitely agree. I think that people that lack empathy, lack this sense of humanity first, right? Beyond just their own family. I think it's hurtful.
Would you ever go back to the Congo?
I would love to. I would love to. I'd love to go back. I'll love to see the motherland.
Is your mom there?
No, she's here. But my mom has visited a lot. She's gone back a lot. I have not gone back yet.
Have you written your book yet, Vinny? And by the way,
no, I have
that's
not.
A shameless plug. I gotta plug my 2 books. The producer always tells me I don't do it enough. I Am Black Wall Street: The History Behind Black Wall Street, and Unapologetically Black, looking at the interrelationship of politics and economics. Of course, politics determines who gets what, when, and where, and economics is the allocation of scarce resources. So studying who controls the money, like these little swath of European nations, and who controls the resources and how all of that works together. So we're going to recognize you, Vinny, because I just like your spirit. I like your willingness to come out and be a part. And the event is right there. Black Wall Street, DMV.Eventbrite. Are you going to send us a bio and a photo, Vinny?
Yes, I will. I actually sent you my bio this morning. So, but you'll get a photo. You get a photo. I promise. You get a photo.
Vinny, you've been watching too much MTV. Okay, so Vinny, what is your ultimate goal here?
MTV died, man. The internet killed MTV.
Okay, well, I tell you what, you're so smart. Tell me about the colors, the interrelationship of the colors behind you.
Yeah. So.
Did you create that?
I did. It's honestly just paper from the Dollar Tree. It doesn't look like it, but the reason why I chose those 3 colors is because they're all primary colors. And so they're bold, stand strong, and together it's a good contrast. I didn't choose it knowing that I would be, I do a lot of video conference, and so I always instead of having a plain white background or a green screen, I wanted different colors that could bring me out as a creative, that can stand out as a creative, as a brand strategist. One thing I tell my clients is that every color that you display, people have an emotional interpretation of who they think you are. And so for me, I like to be vibrant. I'm a vibrant human being.
They remind me of MTV colors. Make me want to.
Oh, that makes sense. Wow.
Because I'm old. I mean,
no. I mean, you're wise, man.
You
You're
know
young
what
spirit.
a lot of African Americans are not sure about is when we see a dreadlock, because dreadlocks are associated with what country, Vinny?
Is it Jamaica?
Jamaica. But
yeah.
Africa's a pretty huge continent. I'm pretty sure somebody wore dreadlocks there before.
Dude, people have been wearing dreadlocks since
long before they even got
man.
to the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah. People have been doing dreadlocks forever. You know, one thing that makes me really upset is that Congress had a opportunity last year to pass a law that said that employers cannot discriminate against folks that have dreadlocks. Like your hair, you can't be discriminated against your hair. And they didn't pass the law. It fell short. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So you're telling me that an employer can fire me because I have dreadlocks. And so it's happens a lot within corporate world, within just normal businesses. Like I hear stories.
Man, you keep wanting to sugarcoat this thing. It's black and it's white. Okay. Then you got some people who can get along, and then you got some people who will use any excuse to lower the bar to keep your black ass out.
I mean, you know, when I say people that have dreadlocks, like I'm thinking of people of color. I'm thinking of black. I'm thinking of Latino people. And so
let's be more specific, Vinny. It's the white males who want to lock you up.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Because increasingly, the white female is loving you.
Well, no. I wouldn't say that's all true. I wouldn't say that's all true.
It's increasingly. Did you know that the whole Black Wall Street thing that broke out in 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was because this black man, I think his name was Roland, was on an elevator, and the story goes he bumped into this white lady.
It's the same, very similar thing that happened at Emmett Till. So let's talk about that. Right? It goes back.
Hold up. Legend has it those two got married afterwards. It was no rape. That was his girlfriend. But Uncle Billy Bob, couldn't take it, and his ego got bruised. And you know what happens when Billy Bob's ego gets bruised? He's gonna go get Hank. He's gonna get Billy Bob, Bobby Billy, and the rest of their cousins. They're gonna get some shotguns. These some of my guns even go so far as to drop bombs. They dropped a bomb on 36 square blocks of black business. That is a rotten, dirty, dastardly deed.
Yeah.
And it's indicative of war. So we're at war here, Vinny. And those guys over there, they've never done anything to act like they're our friends. Ever.
Well,
so they're not doing us a favor. And what I'm trying to say is, you wear your hair any damn well you please, any way you like.
Yes.
But you understand the economic consequences. So that means you have to be a beast with your camera.
Yeah.
Peter over here wants to bump you. Peter wants to bump you, Vinny. He wants to send you back to the Congo, clip you off, and take your land.
Well, in the way you said it.
Not you, Peter. I mean, but that's how we feel. We've worked this land. They snatched us all the way from Africa, those of us who are descendants of slavery, because there were black people already on this continent when this dumbass gets over here, right? So we got, there are some of our ancestors who were snatched from Africa, brought over here and exploited. Your people got exploited right there at home. I know you're madder than me.
And and they're still getting
Oh, my
exploited.
cousin's off, and then you got hemmed up like, oh.
So now, when we talk about now the modern day exploration, sorry, the modern day exploitation, it happens a lot with companies. Like now, just capitalism, the industrial age has turned into this concept that now you have companies going in and having treaties, companies making agreements with the government, saying, "Hey, we're going to own this land, and we're going to do whatever we want with it." And government's like, "Okay," and they turn their backs, but the government's getting tons of money. And so for me,
Not the government, people in the government.
Yeah, people in the government,
Because if the money was going into the pot, then we'd be in charge. But we've given away our sovereignty.
Yeah.
We've given away our name. We've given away our ownership. We signed some false documents. I was wondering how many African leaders actually get killed in European hospitals. When I grew up, they made a movie about Idi Amin.
Yeah, Idi Amin. Yeah.
And I, as a young African American, had to make a choice. Am I going to buy this white guy's version of who Idi Amin was, or am I going to use my own damn brain and look at some context clues? For instance, in the movie Idi Amin, they tried to say he was a cannibal. Black people no damn cannibal, going around eating no dead man flesh.
And this is also the narrative that we get.
To throw salt on it.
Yeah.
But then you realize, why are the white people mad at Idi Amin? Because Idi Amin kicked them in the ass, square in the ass, and kicked them out and said, take your children with you and don't you bring your ass back. Yeah. So is it that Idi Amin was a cannibal, or was it that Idi Amin actually like pimp slapped some of the same people who hurt your people and my people? I'm going to bet on Idi Amin. Because he looked more like me. Now I ain't saying he's my homeboy.
And
like
and you know what I find is to be comical and also sad is that that even in 2020, people still use the same terms of barbaric. These people are not civilized, to classify to justify why they do certain things. It's like when I was
barbaric. You know what's barbaric? Have you ever seen Vigna Raja on television?
No, I don't
Here's
know
this little Indian guy who keeps running on this story about his dad was a teacher and he wants to show up at every Tharu, that's his name, Tharu Freak Nasty Vigna Raja. They want to keep painting this picture like he loves Baltimore. This guy's run for mayor, then he run for state's attorney, then he run for mayor, then he run for state's attorney. But the real insidious character in all of this goes right back to what you said at the beginning of this interview. It's the media. It's Fox 45. And that's, Vinny, is why we have blackusa.news to try to jar out people and enlighten us as to why we have to have our own set of thoughts. Because this idiot over here is not to be trusted. He is not our friend. And he doesn't wish us any good. As a matter of fact, he probably should just pop him now. Get it over with. That way, we clear.
And this is what I always talk about when it comes to media, is that when you control the narrative, you control the whole entire projection of how the generation sees a certain type of topic or how they even see their own identity. And right now, the governor Santos in Florida just announced a ban in African studies. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
He's the devil.
And so this notion
loves black women, though. I want to assure you, all of them secretly love black women. And that's where the conflict comes out between Karen and Keisha.
So it's always going to be,
because Karen knows Keisha's more attractive in typical scenarios. I mean, look at the plantation. How'd you get all these light-skinned babies? Because Karen wasn't taking care of Peter, so Peter went over there with Keisha. They can paint it any kind of way they want, but Karen's still bitter. And then They bring back abortion. They ban abortion. What's that all about? Do you know what that's all about, Vinny? I know you're wondering, how did we get from all of it? But who does abortion hurt?
Hurts people
Besides
that
the mother of the child. But on a broader sense, did you know that Planned Parenthood has killed more black babies than all of the other murderers combined? Planned Parenthood.
I saw the
Planned Parenthood.
statistic.
And they want to push Planned Parenthood on Africa so they can kill a bunch of them African babies. Founded by this lady, Dr. Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger, Sanger. She was one diabolically evil witch. And she was all about exterminating black people. And this goes back to, because I heard you note some of your European contacts, Charles Darwin, Charles Galton, all of those eugenists people who train folk like Adolf Hitler. I can't make this stuff up, Vinny. Planned Parenthood kills black babies more than anybody else.
Well, let's look at the population.
They won't take it over there in China, and I bet you they won't take it there in India. They might try it in India, but I know what China got for them. China ain't having none of it. China will send you back in 16 boxes.
So China also has a child restriction law.
America killing black people for walking down the street. So what?
Well, you said take it to China, and I'm saying that the Chinese have a whole different system of how they govern. They
exploit. Everybody exploits.
Every country that wants to, every nation that wants to expand and gain power, yeah. That's not how it should be. Like, imagine if we were all able to say, hey, let's just collaborate, let's create an agreement and collaborate.
Only thing they imagine, their gun is bigger than your gun. I saw a simulated war scenario between China and the U.S. Who do you think won?
I think the U.S. wins. I think the U.S. wins.
The U.S. gets their ass whipped up and down the block. Go over there, mess with them Chinese if you want. Now, COVID has put a damper on things. You do know they have 1.3 billion people.
Okay, so you keep saying 1.3 billion people. Not all those 1.3 billion people are in the military.
No, they got an army with a billion.
So let's just look at from the DoD standpoint, how much money gets put into the American
Look
military.
at what we buy. We can't make anything. Everything we have, we buy from China, Vietnam, Southeast Asia, everything we have. We don't manufacture anything. We can't even make a good damn Ford truck anymore. Found on the road dead. That's what it stands for.
That's pretty funny. So when I look at all these things you mentioned, I go back to the concept of what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be in a community and hold our appointed representatives accountable? I do a lot of stuff with the creative lobbyist groups, either in DC, and I'm starting to get more connected, obviously through you two, in Baltimore. And one thing that I've been noticing is that individuals, communities that feel as if the people that are in power are not for them, they get disassociated from actual change. And so it becomes, in my opinion, it becomes a narrative thing, is that when we're not informed how we can use our power collectively to actually make a difference. There's this concept of what it actually means to be an activist. What does it mean to be a lobbyist? What does it mean to be a law changer? Over and over again, I've come to this conclusion that when a person doesn't look like me that are in power, I have to constantly know and remind them, it's like, hey, you're representing me. And that I have to make sure that people that look like me actually have the best intentions for my community. Over and over again.
How are you going to do that?
By giving them a call, by making sure that they know what the actual needs are within the community that they said they're supposed to represent.
We need supermarkets in West Baltimore.
So then as a filmmaker, I'm like, hey, let's create a couple of videos and let's continue educating people, telling them what's actually happening. You know, the only way we know what's happening.
They're trying to starve Black people to death so that other people can come in and take our community, like Sandtown.
This is also happening in South DC. The mayor in DC is Black.
Across DC.
It's happening across DC. So this thing, which again, it breaks my heart, and I just want to shake our representatives, like, hey, you guys need to do more. But I also realize that the representatives that are people that are supposed to representing us, they spend
paid by developers. They get money under the table from developers.
Yeah, and also they get their time is spent fundraising. Their time is spent calling wealthy people within the state, getting them to donate money because they have to hit a certain quota. So I want to get rid of that. I want to get rid of this concept that you have to raise money for.
You're a revolutionary. Oh my God! Call the United Nations. We've got someone subverting democracy. You better be careful messing with them Chinese. It's 1.3 billion of them. They can send a wave of 1 million, take a break, go to halftime, and come back and still squash you. Man, why is playing with China, man? Too many. Now Taiwan better stop.
I don't think
poking fingers at the line. Would you go up to the zoo? Would you go up to the lion cage and say, "There you go, there's the lion," and smack the lion? Would you? No, because you know you have no right arm anymore.
And so I like you mentioned the body of parts. When I think of the world powers, right? There's no one. Your arm can't move by itself. Your foot can't move by itself.
The baby of humanity is telling the grandpa of humanity, "Hey, grandpa, get out the way. We're doing it differently nowadays." But see, the grandpa knows that there's nothing new under the sun.
There
the
isn't.
Little game the grandson is playing, grandpa played that like 75 years ago. It's over.
Of course.
There's nothing new. They're not doing anything new. You're either helping or you're hurting. Real simple. I don't care what uniform you got on, what language you speak, how pretty your girlfriend is. If your ass is an exploiter, or if you are a friend to humanity, it's indicative by your actions.
So then how do you know when someone's helping? Can you give me, obviously, like, I'm looking at you as an elder.
When they got their knee on your neck like Derek Chauvin did George Floyd. When they show you who they are, believe them the first time. And don't ever give them that opportunity again.
So then how do I navigate the city knowing that there's people that are around me that are not for me?
You pray to God.
And so pray to God, and then
God for direction.
And then
whether you're in Kinshasa or whether you're in Emerson Village, you stay plugged in to God. You get that cord, and you plug that damn cord in. You plug it in. We are unplugged. That's the problem, Vinny. We're unplugged. We're not connected to the source of the universe. So we're going on our own GPS, but the problem is it's not connected. We got to get back to our circles and stop looking outside for the answers, because the answers are inside of us. And we got to keep ourselves surrounded by good and wholesome people that mean us good and mean us well. And we got to understand the concept of trust. That trust is the most expensive commodity on earth. Not those minerals and natural resources you were talking about. Trust. No trust, no relationship.
So would you say that I agree with you on that part and all the parts you just said? I'm thinking about folks that are having a hard time trying to, pay their bills, having a hard time just trying to just survive in the times that we're in. And they feel like they have to resort to violence in order for them to get their ways.
Be ready for it.
So then how do we provide, or how does a community, right,
Vinny,
give opportunities for
it's called collateral damage. You hear it in movies all of the time. Black people in East and West Baltimore are simply collateral damage.
But who's killing them?
That's a great question. We might have to do an entire show on that. But it ain't all black people, because black people don't make no damn guns. Nor do we drop them off in other communities. It's a lot. It's evil people. Evil people that are black, white, and Asian.
I do believe in
Native Americans got anything to do with it.
And
let's not leave out the Latinos. They don't get a pass.
I believe that when circumstances, when economic equality, inequality is skyrocketing the way it is, we tend to see violence. I mean, they always give this picture of Chicago. Chicago has.
What happened to your family in Kinshasa? What could stop that? If Congo had a unified military, without somebody taking some money under the table. See, I used to complain to my father about racism. And he said, well, you need to look at them greedy ass African kings who sold you over here the first time. Not that I know that my ancestors were slaves, because not all black people were slaves.
Mm-hmm.
It was like when I watched the Hutus and the Tutsis. The movie was called Rwanda.
Yeah, the Rwanda genocide, yeah.
How the hell can you tell a Hutu from a Tutsi? You can't.
And so this is when it comes to the tribalism element of things. And
white people don't like each other. They fight each other all the time. The Scottish and the Irish don't look like best friends to me, bud. But collectively, the Scottish, the Irish, and the British will come together to kick your ass and my ass. So we better take a lesson out of that. We better learn about trust. Now, the problem is some of us get bought out for a little bit of, few trinkets. We sell our mother out for $5. We're selling heroin, cocaine, and crack on the corners of Baltimore. And it's not like the cat is going to buy a country. He's going to move right out there in Owens Mills, where the feds eventually lock him up, take his stuff.
So then why does, this is the thing that I've always been grappling with, is what causes a person, right, to go to that extent
of selling dope?
Yeah, I mean,
his father
if selling dope, we talk about, but if they're able to see themselves, right, in another position where they have access to.
I just answered your question, Vinny. Their father didn't whip their ass.
I don't believe that.
Donald Trump's father didn't whip his ass. That is the problem with Donald Trump. His father should have whipped his ass. That's what he needed. My daddy. He would not be the bad person that he is.
I personally don't believe that they're getting beaten as a child results you being a good person. I don't believe in that at all.
How old are you?
I'm very young. I'm a youngin.
Well, I'm twice as old as you, and I'm telling you, until you come up with a better suggestion, we're gonna whip that ass. That little 4-year-old is not gonna grow up into a Donald Trump because an adult was scared to be a parent.
I don't think that being a parent equates to justifying you being a parent doesn't mean that you're supposed to cause harm to your kid. In my opinion, there's other ways.
I didn't do it to him. I told him don't touch the stove. Don't touch the stove. Hot. But what do we do? What do little boys do?
They go touch it. They go touch it.
Stove. And then they come back and say, hot.
Yeah. And so, but
pain was a great motivator.
That's risk.
Was the great motivator.
And also created trauma. It also has created trauma, and also has led to a society of men feeling they can't express themselves.
Donald Trump needs his ass whipped, and they should lock him up right now because he's a horrible human being. He shouldn't even. He is influencing elections. This man's a traitor. He's a traitor.
Yeah, not a big fan of him at all. I'm not a big fan of him at all. So
with a mail order bride. Can you imagine if Michelle Obama was a mail order bride?
Again,
they would have blasted her all over the place. But she wasn't. She was a queen, and she dealt with them damn racists at the White House, and now she's fine.
I mean, they tried. They tried to bring her down, and this is what happens when you have black excellence.
Melania Trump just walk all around.
Yeah, and it's the whole standard thing.
She ain't no damn standard. She couldn't touch Michelle on her best day.
She couldn't even be
to a damn mass murderer who should be executed today.
She could not be.
They killed Gaddafi. Gaddafi was the better man than Donald Trump.
But Gaddafi was an American.
For that matter.
It matters. If Gaddafi was white and American, they wouldn't have touched him.
Oh, he wasn't. He was black and in Africa.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I was saying, is that they wouldn't have done anything if he wasn't black.
Vinny, we got in all kinds of trouble today. I just want to thank you for effectively facilitating such a discussion. I had no idea where this was going. I knew I didn't want to talk about MTV.
I mean, we could have talked about the old MTV when they used to play music videos 24/7, and not this reality that they have started putting since 2011. And again, so I'll leave with this: is that when we control our narratives, we're able to not only impact our communities, we're also impacting how people see themselves. And I've been since last time, since we met a week ago. So I've been intentionally calling people kings. Every black person, black kid I see, I'm like, hey, king. So to remind them that they're worthy, because the narrative that we see people that look like us isn't a good one. It's always this person did this, instead of the black excellence that exists among us.
Tell them about the Black Wall Street Awards. What'd you think, Vinny?
I thought it was great. I love being in a room where you're seeing strong black business owners and movers and shakers of the city, and keeping it real, like no BS, no this political correctness thing. We're keeping it real, what the community needs and how each individual is affecting the community. And so I loved being part of the event last Thursday, and I'm excited to go to the one that's happening in DC, February 3rd. And I'm excited.
We got to get out of here. You're long-winded. We got to make you a politician. It's 10:09. We should have been out here at 10 o'clock. How can people get in touch with you, Vinny Mwano?
So website, vinnymwano.com.
Okay.
And
that's all we got.
Pretty much it.
You're a takeover artist. When's your birthday, Vinny?
I am September 9th.
Damn Virgos. There we go. Okay. All right. Praise the Lord. You're Michael Jackson. Have a great day.
See ya.